All right, hello and welcome to the postgrad year. Today we're going to be talking about the Commonplace book, except actually I'm going to set that down for a little bit. It's not really a Commonplace book, it's more of a Commonplace binder. I am a little sunburned today, it's actually really bad. Basically what happened is, went on a walk for 15 minutes, I ended up offering to help someone with something, and we were talking in the sun for 2 hours. So wear your sunscreen, don't go outside during the middle of the day, and yeah, in general, just take care of yourself. But today, the other three things we're going to be talking about, other than me getting a sunburn, due to being quite foolish, are moving dozens of videos from 2025 into 2024, because you might have noticed, but a lot of my videos are quite out of date, and the reason for that is because I like to have 1 year prepped in advance, because sometimes something happens and I'm just not here. So I don't really want to have giant sections of dead space, although the growth for the channel and also the personal growth when it comes to my ability to be comfortable recording videos, having people see them, and have them come out at a time that's like relatively useful. All of that stuff is struggling right now. Subscriber count is going up, but it's very slow. My ability to talk to the camera is diminished right now, partially because of the sunburn, but mostly because I haven't done this in a long time. And right now I'm recording in, well, pretty much the middle of the day, a little bit after that, which is when I normally avoid recording. But things in my current living situation are very unstable right now, so I have to record at random times. And that's part of the reason why I was trying to go for a walk, just clear my head a little bit, and also get used to the way that things are going to be now. So the main project that I'm going to be moving from 2025 to 2024 is the titles and thumbnails project. So basically I went through 470 thumbnails, all of the 470 thumbnails for Commonplace books. And I did that because I wanted to see what sort of titles I should be making, what sort of titles I shouldn't be making, and in general why I kind of suck at this. And what I found out quite quickly is that I should not be making Commonplace book videos, I should be making Commonplace binder videos. As soon as I did that though, people started making Commonplace binder videos. So there was only one video beforehand, now there are, let's just say more than 10. So some people changed their titles, other people made new videos with the new title, and that's fine. In some ways, that's actually quite nice. Like, thank you for letting me know that the concept is good, or at least good enough to try it out. Now, I am not trying to make title and thumbnail videos because I want to make title and thumbnail videos. I think they will be useful for people, but mostly useful for me actually figuring out how to craft a narrative and to deliver on that. So, making sure that the title, thumbnail, description, and first 30 seconds of the video actually sort of match up with each other, and they are something that people might actually want to watch, which is also something I can talk about because I either know it or I have experienced it. Yeah, so the thing I really want to be working on is the Commonplace Diploma. So the Commonplace binder is a part of that. Now, in the first few videos on the channel, the first one was an intro, and the second one was like, hi guys, I'm sad. But the ones after that, between that point and when the Commonplace book binder video came out, I talked a little bit about the concept of Commonplace Diploma. I didn't use that wording specifically. Now, it could be a Commonwealth Diploma, we could change the name, but considering I'm already talking about Commonplace binders, and the project includes Commonplace books, Commonplace binders, personal knowledge bases, a whole bunch of other related stuff, I'm just going to go with Commonplace Diploma. I have seen there are a few articles online which talk about Commonplace Diplomas, although nobody seems to have, claimed it specifically or have an extremely detailed concept of what that would look like. It's mostly just people saying, we grab random stuff now and then we call it a degree. It's nobody's, well, I mean, there are some people who talk specifically about commonplacing, but that's a little different. And it's normally expressed in a slightly different way. So I hadn't planned this video, really. This is my plan page, which is quite limited. Now, I wrote in a really small way because normally what I do is I record, 7 videos at once. Sometimes 5, sometimes 10, but generally speaking, it's about that number. I do know over the course of the next few months, it's going to be very difficult to record at any time of day. And over the course of this year, I've only been able to record like 3 different times. So the last time was quite miserable because I recorded 10 videos, which were each about 15 minutes long. And that was a long day. That was a long day. Most of these new videos will be longer than the original videos. I was going to have, well, in 2024, it was 1 video a month, and then I think I screwed that up. 2023 was supposed to be 1 video per month, 2024, 1 video a week, and then 2025, I was going to increase it. Now, I wasn't sure if that was going to be 2 videos a week, if it was going to be something a little bit more exciting, like 1 video per week in the first month, and then 2 videos per week in the second month, and just keep increasing it. That would make December like 60 videos, because that would be, 5 Wednesdays and 12 videos per Wednesday, which would probably be a little bit too much. Although somehow that is actually less than 1 video per day, because if you have 1 video per day, it's like 365 for 2025, not for 2024. I think we have 366 days. But I think it ends up being like 340 something rather than 360 something. But regardless, I wanted to increase the load. So the new videos I've been making have not only been 2 videos per week, but also 15 minutes. So I would have 30 minutes of content rather than like 3 minutes of content of me being like, hey guys, I made a page, Oh man. Now I do have this one binder, but I actually have more like 50 binders. So I don't really want to show all of them. In some ways it helps them remain more personal if I don't even show that they exist, although by not showing them I look a bit questionable because it's like you're talking about a thing that you say you have, but you'll never show it even though it's a physical object in your physical space. And that's true. Nobody's commented that though, so I'm not really sure what the deal is. Maybe you guys just trust that I will babble enough, and so if I'm saying something, it's probably at the very least something I believe. I don't know. What I do know is that in the future, based on a comment I was replying to in somebody else's video, which is weird, I've never done that before, and the person was also like, hey, this is weird. So if you know who you are, well, I mean, I think you know who you are. If you don't, well, this will be quite a surprise. But anyways, that person reminded me that I should talk about more ways to do things. So this is one binder. But one thing I did at the very beginning when I was trying to build a binder is I had 1 binder per month. And so that binder was an intake valve, basically, like a sorting area. And so what would happen is my lowest priority information would go in the 12 monthly binders. So, like January, February, March, and it would go for the whole year. And then whenever we would get to a new month, I would switch to that new binder as my secondary binder. So that would be my intake source. So October, for example, ended up being French because most of the binders started off as work from school because I was never allowed to throw anything away. It was a very authoritarian situation. But yeah, I wasn't allowed to get rid of anything for any purpose. So then once I didn't have to deal with that person anymore, I still had all this stuff. And I was like, well, I don't really want to throw it all away because I'm still a little bit stressed and anxious about what the rules used to be. So how about I try to convert or, you know, look through and see if there's anything useful in that material that I can turn into something else. And there was. Yeah, it's kind of like how no person is beyond saving. It's just sometimes it's not worth the effort, because you could save 100 people or you could save one person. Same kind of thing goes for pages like this. You know, useful for one day, pretty much. I can go back, I can look at it, I can probably convert it into like one sentence, you know, like not much from that, but that's okay. Because you don't want everything to be super dense, because then you're basically reading a textbook, and you also don't want everything to be super light. Like if it's only one word per page, that's pretty dumb. One sentence per page, that'll work. That's more of like a zettelkasten style, where you have one individual thought per page. And that I actually found quite useful, because if you have a page like this, for example, oh my god, it's moving around. And you cross this off, and then you write something else, and you just keep using this as a piece of scrap paper. Eventually, you know, you can flip it around and keep using that as a scrap paper page. And if you're only writing one thing on the page, you know, it doesn't matter that you're writing one thing on the page, because eventually you're going to use all the space, and it's actually going to be more efficient than just writing an essay, because you will use all the space. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. This is supposed to be a channel update video. I think we've gotten through all the update parts, where, like, you know, I'm sunburned. I'm moving all the thumbnail videos from 2025 to 24. Not all of them, but like all the ones that I've made so far. And I think it's going to be a bit short between, like, you know, November and January. So I'll probably have to make those in the future. So I might look randomly sunburned in like December for no reason. But then after that, I'll probably try to hold to 2 videos a week. Might bump it up to 3, might drop down to 1. We'll see. What does that say? Oh yeah, my eyesight's been getting worse. That's one reason why I was trying to go outside. I'm trying to, you know, reduce the chance of myopia, although I think I already have a little bit of it. Apparently being inside for a decade, and being awake at night, makes that a little bit more likely to happen. Let's see. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. I don't think I talked about the projects in the log. So, as I've been working on the titles and thumbnails, you know, this has been filling up. But this is also quite different. So we can move that a little bit closer so you can see an example. So now everything has a month and a year and a title, whereas beforehand it just had the title. Now this is the way that I would normally do things, although normally what I would do is I would put everything on the computer, place it into Google Docs or, you know, some other system. Over the course of the month, you know, work on all those different documents, and at the end of the month, I would simply, you know, well, now I download them. But beforehand, I was basically like, I feel like I need to restart this. So I would have basically Google Docs on the computer, and oh my god, the computer monitor turned off. I'll be back. There we go. They're just notifications galore. Okay, so I had this stuff on my computer as Google Docs. And what would happen is I would just use the Google Docs normally. And then at the end of the month, I would print out all of the individual Google Docs. You know, hole punch them, and then they would go into a binder. And then I would edit the stuff as it was in the binder. So that way, I didn't have to retype everything when I redid it. I didn't have to worry about all my stuff being in only one location. You know, I would have the digital version and the printed version. But then a thing I started doing is I would also create a download of each individual doc as a text doc. So that way I could store basically a backup of everything, just in case the account or the cloud or whatever got compromised. I would still have access to all my material. Except in 3 places. But then it got a little bit ridiculous because I was like, okay, we're gonna have a USB drive over here, and we're gonna have a storage device, and we're gonna. So I kept making so much stuff, and there are a lot of reasons for that. Basically, whenever I create a new large system like that, it's because something bad happened. So at the very beginning, when I was converting my stuff from physical to digital, 200 pages got wiped from my computer. I told my computer not to update from Windows 7 to Windows 8. And then it did it anyway, and it wiped everything on my computer. So, wasn't exactly happy about that. Still don't really know why that happened. But yeah, that was a little frustrating. But that was a long time ago. That was like 2016. Maybe as late as 2018. I don't know. I have no idea. Could have even been 2015 at the very beginning. But, it forced me to up my game and, create backups of everything, which is good. This is definitely a ramble. So when it comes to the proper Commonplace book video in the future, I do have a doc in here, which goes through like a little bit of everything from each video and actually tries to string it together. But basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to talk about a normal American system, like K through 12. And then I'm going to stack on all the additional things. So like kindergarten, that's for, pretty much everybody. Preschool, that's for people who are middle class. Primer, that's for upper class. That goes down. And then the post-grad year goes after 12th grade as sort of a 13th year. That is pretty much only used by like 200 people per year. So I think it's more like 1,000 now. But, if somebody is too young to enter a military academy, if they are a really good athlete for something, and they're just not old enough, or if they have some sort of drug problem, or, maybe they're a rich kid who has some sort of anxiety about going to school, specifically college or university. And their parents are like, well, technically I know a private school where you can just chill out. So sometimes rich, powerful, and well-connected people will put their kid in a place where the kid can't let themselves down or the parents down as much, and it's not as much of a social stigma as like a gap year, for example. Like a lot of people see a gap year and they're like, oh, you just don't want to go to college, and you just don't want to say it, and that's kind of cringe. I was just thinking it's very similar in a lot of ways to someone being agnostic or bi. I don't know how political I want to make this video, but basically if someone's in an in-between like transition zone between things or places or whatever, that might actually be who they are or who they want to be, but just existing there makes everybody on the edges or on the extremes feel like that person's lying, or they don't know what they want, or whole bunch of other stuff. But a post-grad year does happen in the United States. It's just not very common. Although if you go to a country like Germany in Europe, or really any country that borders Germany, especially to the north or other Germanic countries, they have a lot of other people who take an additional year of high school. Oh, I think I hear somebody moving around. Always somebody walking. That was the fridge. So, it's almost 20 minutes. I think I might edit this down like a minute or two. Man, there's so much anxiety to recording during the day. I don't know where you guys normally record. Do you record in the dark? Do you record outside? I think it's just something I got to get used to. But this is actually the hardest part of streaming, for example, which is why I don't do it. I don't like somebody watching me and also being recorded at the same time. So like, the video is fine, but when there's also somebody listening from another location, it's extremely unsettling, and I'm not really sure why. I think it's because of divided attention or divided focus. But but it feels like I'm talking to multiple people rather than one person. Like right now, focused on you. Don't know you. You might be multiple people. However, it feels a lot more safe talking to one place. So, yeah, I'm gonna, talk about the normal American system. We're gonna talk about some extra things which are added on. I'm gonna talk about my own experiences, when I did certain things like helping kids tie their shoes. No, we're probably not gonna get into that. But, all the things that I think need to change, all the differences between private and public. I guess we could also talk about cyber school a little bit. Although my experience with that is not very positive, as I tried it for 6 months, and there was there was just one crisis after another. Like, for example, I got signed up for 9th, 10th, and 11th grade English at the same time, and all the teachers were mad at me because I wasn't getting to their work before the other teachers' work, and I was behind. Which is kind of funny because I started halfway through the year and they somehow didn't realize that I wasn't part of their class for the whole year. They're like, "You're behind." I'm like, yeah, I think so. But it was an important part of working on this project, actually trying out the cyber school. Although at that point I got so much pushback on talking about the future of education or potential other systems that I couldn't really talk about it. I was like, no, I don't really want to have to show up, like the school's a little uncomfortable in some ways. And it was. I didn't truly understand how bad certain things would be. I thought, for example, going to school within 2 hours of New York City, I wouldn't see Confederate flags in the parking lot all the time. So, they thought they were Southerners, even though they live less than 2 hours away from New York City. So, that was fascinating. And there were a lot of other things where it was like, oh, this is, people are actually like this. This isn't just like elitism, that I grew up with. There is definitely some of that. But there were some things where I was like, oh, this isn't a joke. I was in the place where the people make the propaganda, and now I'm in the place where the people believe the propaganda. Gotcha. Okay. This is new. I really feel like I'm just being listened to right now. This topic is not really something I gotta get out of here.